All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out. Today, I'm going to be sharing my presentation with you, Gain Career Clarity, Insights from a Personal SWOT Analysis. We don't need it just yet, but I'm going to give you a little foreshadowing. If you have a piece of paper, I'm going to put you to work today. I prefer to use a single piece of computer paper, and if you can find something to write with. I'll give you a little time to go find that as I do my intro. All right. So thank you all so much for coming out today. Massive shout out to the Baltimore Salesforce admin group. I'm really excited for this opportunity to share this technique that I've been doing for many years now. It's been very beneficial for me, and I'm very excited to share it with you. And hopefully it's as powerful for you as it has been for me. All right, so my name is Stephanie Peretti. I'm a sales operations analyst at NetScout. I currently hold 18 Salesforce certifications. I am a community group leader of the Boston Salesforce Admin Group and the Boston Slack Community Group. I'm a mentor through the Trailblazer Mentorship Program. I also QA test Trailhead badges, which is such a fun thing to do. We'll test badges for the platform to help them out in any way that we can. I'm also a speaker. I got to speak at multiple world tours, Dreaming events, and Dreamforce last year. And hopefully we will add Dreamforce 2026 to the list of accomplishments. But a little bit about my background. So I am a little bit newer to the Salesforce ecosystem. Let's dial it back a little bit. I did my undergraduate degree at Worcester State University in Central Massachusetts. I graduated with a double major in Spanish and communication. Didn't really feel super confident about my skills or my ability to really do anything in a business sense. I was kind of lost and confused. I did a couple semesters in South America, split my time between Argentina and Peru, had a great experience, decided I wasn't done traveling, decided to move to Korea. I spent a couple years teaching English at an elementary school, a couple hours outside of Seoul, and still wasn't enough traveling. So I packed my bag and I ended up backpacking for 13 months. I had an absolutely incredible experience. Highly recommend it if you ever get the chance to have an extended period of travel. But it just kept going. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I came back to the States and I started working at a restaurant that I had worked at in my undergrad degree. Ended up spending about 8 years there and was just overall very lost. I didn't feel like I had any transferable skills and really just lacked direction. I ended up visiting all 50 states and all the national parks and the 7 New World Wonders and all those fun and exciting things. Um, and was just, like I said, lost and confused. So, before we continue, the most important place I've been, Baltimore, obviously. Um, but I came back to the States and started working on my MBA because, that's what somebody does when they lack direction. Goes back to school. And it was while I was working on my MBA that I found the concept of the SWOT analysis. And at the time, I didn't have a business that I was working for or that I could apply this concept to. So I decided to make it about myself and turn it back and see how I can use this technique to make improvements, find direction for myself. And as I mentioned before, it has been very beneficial for me, and I highly recommend it to you. So how did I find Salesforce? So I listened to a lot of finance podcasts, read a lot of personal finance books. I heard somebody talk about on the Choose FI podcast this thing called Salesforce. I didn't understand it. I thought someone was like sitting at home on their computer coding all day. I did not understand it, completely over my head. But this one day, January 3rd of 2024, I was homesick, frustrated, burnt out from work, and just so desperate for change. that I went back and I found that old podcast episode. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. Let me see what's going on with this thing this guy is talking about. So it ended up being Bradley Rice, who runs Talent Stacker. So I joined Talent Stacker. I created my Trailhead profile and just didn't stop from there. Within 2.5 weeks, I got my first certification, hit Ranger rank. My first year, I landed my first job. I earned 8 certifications and became a Slack CGL. It has been a very wild ride that I am so incredibly grateful for. And to say, I understand, obviously, I've worked very hard for the achievements that I have at this point, but like saying that the SWOT analysis had a lot to do with that is not an understatement. And I'll explain to you why as I get into the description of what this is. But I have so many different SWOT analyses that I have created over the years. Every time I clean, I end up finding so many from over the years, and I'm excited for you to go through this process as well. So first things first, I want you guys to all find a piece of paper. I prefer just a plain piece of computer paper and something to write with. And I want for this session to be super interactive. So as we work through these different parts, be adding things in the chat and we can kind of talk back and forth about these. So if we're gonna take it back to elementary school, we're gonna fold our paper the hamburger way and the hot dog way. So we can make 4 boxes on our paper. And what we're going to do is in each of these squares, we are going to write each of these words. So the top left square, we're going to write strengths. Top right square, we're going to write weaknesses. And then we have opportunities and threats. And you want to leave a lot of space because we're going to add a bunch of bullet points underneath here. All right. So as you might have guessed, if you're not familiar with a SWOT analysis, SWOT, SWOT, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So SWOT analyses are a strategic planning tool used by businesses to assess their current position and decide on their next move. It will allow them to assess what they do well, where they fall short, and any external factors that they can use to grow, and risks or challenges that may affect them. So some of the decisions that might come out of a SWOT analysis are whether to enter a new market or launch a new product, ways to improve operations, and how to respond to the competition. Some of the benefits that a business might see when completing a SWOT analysis are that it provides a clear and honest view of a company's current position. It improves decision-making, helps to prioritize what actually matters, identify gaps in areas of growth. It allows them to be proactive. And most importantly, it's simple and free. So if we turn that back on ourselves, we make it all about us, how can making a personal SWOT analysis benefit us? It will allow us to understand our past. We can recognize future opportunities and use this to find next steps and create a path for us. So to visualize our quadrants here and what criteria we're going to use to add information into these boxes. This is something that I find to be very helpful when trying to decide which box I should put something into. So if we're looking at the left column, we're looking at strengths and opportunities. These bullet points are things that are going to be positive or helpful. And the right column, the weaknesses and the threats, these are things that are negative or harmful. Looking at the rows, we're looking at the strengths and the weaknesses. These are things that are internal, so you want to think about yourself. And for the bottom row, we're looking at opportunities and threats. These are things that are external, things outside of ourselves. I have this screen here available if you guys want to take a screenshot. I have another one similar at the end if you want to save that as well. Alrighty, let's dive into strengths. So when we're thinking about strengths, we want to think about external factors that we can, internal factors that we can take advantage of. So some questions that we can ask ourselves are, what do we do consistently well? What skills, experiences, and qualities set you apart? So I have some examples here to kind of give you an idea, some of the things that you can write, but please feel free to add more, throw some in the chat if you don't see them up here. I'd love to create a conversation here and share. Maybe there are some opportunities that we have here if you've had some really awesome experiences. The first time you do this, it might be kind of hard for you. And for this one, a lot of times I will recommend starting really broad. If it's hard for you to kind of distill down what your strengths are, start with some bigger topics. Maybe in education that you had a degree that you completed. You could just start listing all of your job experiences. Go back in, iterate on it, drill down into it. What classes did you take at your university? What projects did you work on at work? Okay, then what did you learn in that class? What did you learn at doing that project? And as you drill down, it will help you to better understand what your strengths actually are. And in the event that you are applying for a new role, you can use this information that you find here to really advocate for yourself in a job interview. So some of the examples that I have here, we can talk about any certifications or credentials that we have. You can include Salesforce certifications, maybe Salesforce adjacent certifications like Slack, Tableau, MuleSoft, Microsoft certifications, Scrum Master. Maybe you have like professional educational experiences like MBA or PMP. We can talk about hands-on experience. If you have any previous roles, maybe you completed some super badges, any nonprofit volunteer work that you've completed, courses like Talent Stacker, Rad Women, Clicked. You can talk about different personality traits that you have. Are you outgoing? Are you driven, passionate, and a quick learner? You can talk about specific skills. Are you really great with flows or automation, integrations? Maybe you have a lot of experience with reports and dashboards. Anything like that, throw into this strengths box. All right, let's check the comments. Do you guys have anything in your head that you're thinking about? Any strengths that stand out to you? I see Matthew saying Salesforce experience. Do you have any key projects that you worked on? Apsona knowledge. Ooh, interesting. Okay. All right. All right. Let's AI. AI is a big one. Yes. That one's tough. Jabari and I were just talking about that before this event. Marketing cloud. Okay. Listening for pain points. Geez, yeah, listening. That's especially in meetings and trying to understand what stakeholders are really asking for. Process improvement. Okay, that's awesome. Detail-oriented mindset. Yes, yes, very much so. Especially when working on projects. That's really key. These are awesome. All right, let's move to the next box. So we're going to move on to our weaknesses right now. This one can tend to be harder. A lot of times I feel almost like I'm being a Debbie Downer, talking about my weaknesses or asking you to think about your weaknesses. But I want to say that maybe you don't feel super comfortable sharing your weaknesses in the chat. I fully understand that. But if you can at least be honest with yourself about these, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit later in the presentation, we can talk about how we can, by identifying these weaknesses, we can find opportunities to turn them into strengths. So as much as you can, as honest as you can be here, try to fill in this weaknesses quadrant. So as we're doing this, we're going to be thinking about where we have room for improvement. We can ask ourselves, where do we struggle? What skills or experiences are we missing? So some examples, maybe we lack advanced certifications, maybe we have limited real world experiences or limited practical application, maybe we have inconsistent or incomplete training, maybe we struggle to communicate effectively, maybe we have massive stage fright. Totally understand that. Dealing with imposter syndrome or issues with time management. Maybe you identify that it would be better if you had experience with integrations. Maybe you struggle with documentation. As much as you can kind of be honest with yourself, I think that would be helpful. And one tip that I would recommend for this quadrant is that if you find that maybe this one is a little bit harder for you, to, even if you're not looking for a job right now, start looking at some job postings. See what people are asking for. What are the recommended qualifications and or the required qualifications? Do you have them? If you're noticing, say a lot of people want the business analyst certification and you don't, you could throw that into weaknesses. If they're asking for certain technical experience that maybe you don't have, throw that into weaknesses. I think that looking at job postings is a really great way to understand what is being asked of and kind of compare yourself to others. And we'll talk in a minute about um, making that into a strength of yours. What's our time management? Yeah. Yeah, that's time management is definitely a tough one for me, especially as I get more and more busy. Remembering to stop and pause when problem solving, take a walk, ask for help, etc. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, take a walk. Yeah, I find it's often hard to stop, especially when you're in the middle of a project, and just be kind to yourself and give yourself a little break. Not certified, reliant on consultants. Ooh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to opportunities. So if we remember back to the beginning for opportunities, these are external factors. These are going to be positive things that we can take advantage of. Some of the questions that we can ask ourselves, what are trends or resources that can help us grow? So as you're looking at this slide, you might notice that it's very similar to the strengths side. So if you noticed that there was something on that list of strengths that you might not have, all of a sudden it becomes an opportunity. And one thing that I recommend for this quadrant is that as you're spending time on LinkedIn, I know Jabari doesn't have LinkedIn, so he doesn't count, but as the rest of us are on LinkedIn and you're scrolling through and you see somebody post about a certification, a new course that they took, if something comes through that interests you, throw it into your opportunities quadrant. You keep this on the corner of your desk. You can hang it on the wall. It can be a little a vision board for you. But as you see things come up, throw it into the opportunities square so that maybe you don't have time to do it now, but at some point in the future, there will be a time where you can come back and revisit this. Or if, like, we're talking about AI features, if you're starting to see a lot of people get AI certifications, like I'm seeing a lot of people get those Anthropic, the Claude certifications. I don't have time for that right now, but I'm definitely curious, and there's probably going to be a time where those skills will be beneficial for me at work. And when I'm looking for resources to learn more about AI, I have this whole list of these AI certifications that I can come revisit and prioritize. So revisiting the strengths slide, we have all the different certifications that we could go through, different volunteer experiences. Maybe we could take on some freelance or contract work, internships, any of the courses that are out there these days. We get Talent Stacker, AI Force training is definitely on my list. local user group events. This is one thing that I wanted to touch on when talking about turning your weaknesses into strengths. So if you're looking at your weaknesses, so say for example, you have an intense fear of public speaking. You have stage fright, which was me a year ago. Um, I don't know how hard that is to believe, but I would get physically ill speaking. And the idea of speaking or even speaking up in a meeting was completely terrifying to me. Even through my MBA program, anytime I needed to do like public speaking in front of my class, it was not good. Uh, and it got to the point where it was really holding me back. And I recognized that. And I was almost embarrassed by it. It, I knew it was a massive weakness. And so I started looking at what kind of opportunities do I have to kind of cross this off my weaknesses list and turn it into a strength. So for public speaking, I started speaking at local community group events, started speaking at conferences, started off with World Tour. I got to speak at Dreamforce last year, Northeast Dreamin', World Tour New York. And it was one of those things where when it first started, it was very terrifying. But the more I did it, the easier it got. And to be able to switch my perspective and my mentality of, okay, I'm not just getting up there and doing this thing. I want to actually bring value and understand that if I am able to give a great presentation, then everyone can benefit from the experience. And if I just get up there and I stutter and I'm terrified and I don't speak loudly enough, I don't enunciate, then nobody benefits from the experience. And I don't know, torturing myself for no reason. But I share that experience to say that as as you're looking down your list of weaknesses, if you can try to pair that with an opportunity, something that you can take advantage of, it will help you to remove that from the weaknesses list and move it onto the strengths list. So I really encourage it. It's scary. It takes courage. I fully feel you. But as much as you can, try to line things up so you can move things around your quadrants. Um, Increased demand for AI skills. Yes, we I think that's what everyone's talking about these days in the Salesforce community. Um, yes, yes. All right, let's see. What do we have over here in the chat for opportunities? Opportunity for me and likely others is tuition reimbursement benefits at a job. Yes, to earn degrees and certifications. Yes, that's a good one, David. I feel like so many people will just you forget about it. You get busy. You have so much going on. It's hard to take advantage of all the benefits we have at work. Trailhead, yes, massive opportunity. So many trails, so many certifications. Yeah, you have the agent blazer statuses too. You can go down those learning paths. Yeah, it's awesome. Free webinars, certifications. Yeah, free webinars is a good one to point out. There are so many like this event. There's so many great sessions that you can attend completely for free and online. So great the way that this ecosystem is set up. Live events. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, and even as you're going to these events too and connecting with more and more people, one, you're able to meet new people, connect with them, feel inspired and motivated by them and their stories, but it could end up being somebody that can like help you out later on if you're looking for a job, and you can pull from your connections to see whose business you might be able to help out. Salesforce Premium or signature support. Okay, cool, cool. All right, I'm going to move on to threats. So for opportunities, a lot of times my opportunity section, actually every time, my opportunity section is the biggest section every single time without fail. There are so many things I want to do and not enough time. And I'm inspired by so many people in this community. And I end up having a very ambitious opportunity square. On the other hand, threats is always my smallest section. So as you're doing this yourselves, you might find that the threat section ends up being a lot smaller. You're not alone. That happens for me as well. So as we're filling out this last section, we're going to be thinking about external risks or challenges. Questions that we can ask ourselves are, what are our competitors doing and what hurdles exist? Some of the examples might include market saturation. Maybe employers are expecting too many qualifications. My favorite is when they're offering a junior role and asking for like 3 to 5 years of experience. I would argue that maybe they don't know what they're looking for, but yeah, it's also hard to compete with really experienced candidates. Maybe if you're newer in the ecosystem. There are constant platform changes that, specifically with Salesforce, things are getting renamed, new features are being added, feels like every other day. And if you're not keeping up with it and you're not constantly upskilling, you start to fall behind. Looking at the larger ecosystem, we're talking about potential layoffs, businesses being slower to hire, contract roles replacing full-time work, admin roles kind of disappearing. I know at my work, we don't really have admins. We have business analysts and developers who share the responsibility of both. There's a lot of competition from the global workforce. Instead of just competing with, Joe Smith down the street, you're now competing with people all over the world for these remote roles. So there's a lot more competition, and it's getting harder and harder to set yourself apart. So, do we have any ideas for additional threats that we can be looking out for and that we can add into this section? Corporate restructures. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and that I think that one's a tough one too, because you could be requested to or offered a role in a completely different part of the company that maybe you're not prepared um, to work in that department. Economic factors, AI destabilizing the market. Okay, yeah, perfect. All righty. So what we want to do with the threat section, so these are negative and outside of ourselves. These are things that are out of our control. So with this section, what we want to be thinking of is, what can we do? What opportunities can we take advantage of that will kind of erase these threats or protect us in the event that one of these threats happens? Um, we're talking about layoffs, corporate restructures. Maybe that means you take on some side work, some contract roles to help insulate you so that if something like that were to happen, it wouldn't be as significant. So many things competing for my time. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I feel you. It's definitely a tough one. All right, so some tips and tricks, many things to learn. Yeah, a lot of times it can start to feel overwhelming with how many things that there are to learn, especially in Salesforce. So many different clouds, so many different new features happening, distractions. Yeah, I'm very easily distracted if you can't tell. All right. So some tips and tricks that I want to hit on before we close off here. So as you're starting out with this, particularly with strengths, but with this activity in general, I would recommend starting broad. by just listing out your job experiences or your previous educational experiences, and then start iterating on that. Drill down into those experiences. You start with the job, then you start listing projects. You start what did you learn on those projects? How did you grow from those projects? That will allow you, especially if if I guess two situations. One, if you are looking to transition into a new role, maybe you're either starting out or you're established and you're looking to change your job, this can help you to really understand your past experiences and use that, promote that in conversations with future employers. And then if you're just like me, very into self-improvement and just continuous learning and growth and that kind of stuff, this can really help you to identify your next steps. I'm the kind of person who will do a certification for fun. I know, sounds crazy. I study Salesforce as like one of my favorite hobbies. I will on a long weekend sit at home and study all weekend. I cocoon myself in my home and I take the certification exam. So this will help me to kind of feel motivated about what next study path I should go down. Another tip is to look at job postings for required skills or qualifications. Then this can give you a good idea. One, maybe there are some weaknesses, but it could also help to point out some strengths that you have. Maybe there's a task that you're doing all the time and you don't really think about it, or you don't really think that it's anything special, or that like, oh, everyone can do this. That might not be true. And it can help you to really understand the things that you're doing well. What are your peers posting on LinkedIn? I love to feel motivated and encouraged by other people in the community, having those conversations with people. Hey, what are you working on? What are you studying? Um, that that is helpful for me to keep progressing and keep motivated down my own study paths. And as we've been talking about AI a lot today, ask your favorite LLM. I don't know if you've tried to do this in the past, but you can obviously remove your personally identifiable information, but you can take your resume and you can throw it into ChatGPT. You can copy and paste your LinkedIn, throw that into ChatGPT. You can talk to it and explain a project that you walked through and like let it know who you are, and you can ask it to make a SWOT analysis about you. Or you can take after you've kind of trained it on yourself, so it's an expert on you, you can give it a job posting and ask it, do you have any reservations about hiring this person? What's something that I could do to be a more desirable candidate? So I will say, if you are having some trouble with this, which I feel like I gave a lot of really great examples that might get your brain going about some ideas here, but talking to your favorite LLM can be very helpful. And to close off, this is the other slide that I mentioned that is good for screenshotting in case you're interested. So as we're looking at our SWOT analysis, we're going to be trying to leverage our strengths. We want to improve our weaknesses, pursue opportunities, and mitigate threats. Alrighty, so does anyone have any questions for me, whether it's about SWOT analysis, about the community, Salesforce, whatever your little heart's desire? Does anyone have any questions?
Stephanie, I'll ask.
Yeah.
I was curious, just what you would recommend, for getting started with getting certifications. I don't have any certifications myself, though I've been
Hmm.
working with Salesforce for a while. Um, so I just curious, how you'd say to start.
Yeah. What is your role like right now?
I'm generally I call myself the quarterback. I'm kind of like the admin for our implementation, and we have consultants that I work with. Um,
Hmm.
and they're the ones who are really configuring the system, and
Okay.
I'm mainly a user using Marketing Cloud and Salesforce CRM.
Okay. So the first the first certification I often recommend to people, they've been renamed. They were the associate exams. They're now the foundations exams. The um the regular platform foundation certification, it may seem like this is super easy, like I know way more than this. Yes, but if you aren't super familiar with the system and you just want to see what does a test look and feel like, that's a really great one. It's a cheaper one. You can probably pass it on a first attempt without too much issue. Admin exam obviously is super hard. A lot of people see it as like the first like entry level certification. Based on the experience you're describing, I want to say that the business analyst certification would be a really great one for you to start with. And platform app builder is one that it's very similar, very well aligned with the admin certification, but significantly easier because it goes more in depth to one part of Salesforce, whereas admin is like a little bit of everything right across the board. So to have some confidence early on, if you were to start with platform foundations, business analyst, platform app builder, I think you would have a lot of early success that would help to kind of train you on how the certifications work, but then also to like give you some confidence and be like, hey, I can do this. I think the admin exam is huge and it's really difficult and it's really intimidating. Um, and I I do often encourage people to do other ones first so it doesn't discourage them.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Good.
So, how are you doing?
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. So, I have a question. Do you have any recommendation for passing this Agent Force Specialist exam?
That's actually funny. Jabari and I were talking about that right before this event. So when I took it, it was about a year and a half ago when it was still the AI specialist certification. So I'm not going to pretend that my experience is going to be the same as what you're going to experience when you go in there. Obviously, Agentforce has grown and changed so much in the last year and a half. It was barely a concept when I took the certification. But I would, in my opinion, and what I often recommend to my mentees is to go down the path of the agent blazer statuses. And until you're maybe even finished the legend status, to like make sure you get through all of that content and you have that experience in the dev orgs configuring it, I think that will go a long way to helping you be able to pass that certification.
Yeah, I have gone through that trail and except that legend, I finished. I tried exam twice, but I don't know. I'm not able to clear that exam.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough
Yeah. Okay.
one.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question.
Hey, David.
Hey, echoing what you were talking about with
Mm,
Matthew, I'm thinking that as someone who's just starting out with Salesforce, think about, like you said, starting with the platform foundation cert
mhm,
and then going to the platform administrator cert.
yeah, yeah.
Think that
If
would
you,
be okay?
yeah, yeah. If you want to, you can look at my Trailhead account, um, and you can see. I'm trying to get off of my screen. I'll throw my Trailhead account link in the chat. But what I did when I started out, so it was really hard for me to pass admin. I came from a non-tech background and a lot of Salesforce concepts were just really difficult for me. I failed admin twice and it took me a little over 4 months before I passed. But in order to have some wins and to feel less discouraged as I was going through this study path, I started choosing certifications that did not have prerequisites and that had material that overlapped with the admin exam. So I'm throwing my Trailhead profile in the chat. If you want to look, you can, when you go to somebody's profile, you can sort their certifications in order that they got it. You can do it by most recent, and you can see the ones that I earned before I got the admin exam. So I kind of worked through, I did like the business analyst one. I worked through a bunch of the associate certifications, which have been now renamed to the foundation certifications. I also recommend, if you're really struggling with the admin exam, the designer certifications, UX designer and strategy designer, are also really great ones that can help you to keep learning about Salesforce and keep making progress while you're inching closer to being able to pass admin. And I will say, like with my job now, I didn't have a whole lot of experience, like actual experience working in orgs. A lot of my experience was like theoretical, and it was on Trailhead and dev orgs and all that. And one of the things that was impressive to my manager, or at least made him like seriously consider me as a candidate, was that he could see how active I was in the community and how I had 8 certifications when I started my job, and I'm the only one on my team that has any certifications. And it was something that made me stand out as a candidate to him because I was clearly dedicated to this learning path and wanting to continue to grow. So that can also help you too if you start working with some of the easier certifications to grow your knowledge until you're at a point where you're able to pass the admin certification.
Oh, that makes sense. But I can either way, I should probably start with the platform foundations.
Yeah, it's really great. Like, it's hard to understand what that testing platform is like if you've never seen it. If you don't know that they're going to record you, like video and audio, you can't have anything on your desk. You need to test your system. You need to be in camera view all the time. You can't touch your face or they'll turn off your test. Like, I think I've experienced it all when taking these tests. And I think especially when you're taking some of the harder ones like admin, that just understanding the system goes a long way to taking away the anxiety of the test. Like, it's already a really hard test and it's hard to read the questions and really understand what they're saying. So if you at least understand that, like, you can strike out answers and you can turn the timer off. And so I often recommend people do one of these easier foundations exams just to understand what the testing environment even looks like.
That makes sense. But would I be able to take it at a testing center?
Oh yeah. Yes, you absolutely can.
Oh,
Uh, when you go to sign up, you can choose whether you want to do in person or virtual. And if you choose in person, it will give you a list of places that you can go to.
oh. Yeah, I think in person sways you because recently I actually earned the CompTIA A+ certification.
Okay.
And and yeah, it kind of relates to what you're saying about the foundation ones because before A+ I took Tech Plus, which is a lot easier because A CompTIA A+ is an absolute behemoth of a certification and
Hmm.
it's 2 different exams. And the
Yeah.
Tech Plus is kind of a prelude to that. So that kind of gave me confidence. And
Yeah.
then I passed that the first attempt. Then I passed both CompTIA A+ exams on the first attempt. And
Nice. That's awesome.
and I did have the option of taking online proctored exams through Pearson View, but I did it in person just because of the strict rules like you were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be really stressful too if they're telling you like you need to do this or that, and you just want your test to start and you're already so anxious about it. Having anything along the way at the beginning that interrupts even just your mentality of taking the exam can sometimes be hard.
Oh, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I have to say, also say I like your classes.
Oh, thank you.
And oh, Yeah, and with Salesforce, I would be coming in with a little bit of a technical background because I've been studying general IT recently. I would
Yeah.
say day plus just now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you might find it easier to pick up Salesforce concepts than I did when I first started. So I hope you find success as you study for your certifications. You'll have to let us know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely will. And I'm actually shoot you a message on what is it, LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, I'm looking into moving it to New England in the near
Yeah.
future.
Sounds good.
I'd love to meet more people in Salesforce and other tech ecosystems in the Northeast.
Yeah. We have a great community up here. We got a lot going on. So we definitely have a lot of events for you to attend.
Well, thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'll ask one other question
Yeah.
if no one else has any. Do you have any kind of uh, well, I'll say for me, some of the times I've struggled with certifications in the past are kind of like the way they ask questions sometimes, and some of the select all three that apply, and I'm like, but I don't know if you've come across any things that have been helpful for you, like test taking
Yeah.
methods or things like that.
I have so many.
Oh, okay.
I have so many, so many opinions.
So we
Okay.
need another have you come back as another
Oh yeah. Oh
speaker.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I will. I submitted multiple Dreamforce presentations around certifications and trailhead and test it
Oh,
taking and
okay.
all that. So okay. One thing, like my big thing, is I get
Uh-huh.
super anxious when I'm taking certification exams.
Hmm.
And even if I feel confident and I feel like I know this, there's something about opening it up and starting it that it's like all of a sudden you
Yeah,
can feel
it's
good and
on.
then 0 to 100, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
So that timer, I think a lot of people don't know that you can turn it off. So if you
Oh,
click that
okay.
timer, yeah, you can
Uh-huh.
hide it. And so a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
times I'll
That's a
recommend that you only check it like every 10 questions, just to make sure you're
yeah.
on track, you're not moving too
Hmm.
slow, or like you're definitely going to have enough time, but you can turn that off. And just being able to go
That's
up there,
helpful.
I'll check it every now and then. It helps to reduce a lot of my anxiety.
Hmm.
Um, the strikeout feature is one that a lot of people don't know. If you have like four answers, if you right click the answer, it will strike it out for you. So if you're looking at them and you know, okay, this is definitely not an answer, strike it out. And
Uh-huh.
especially if you're like one of my mentees recently took an exam and she ran into an issue where she was taking too long. So by the time
Yeah.
she got to the end of the exam, she had too many questions left for the amount of time allotted. So she kind of had to
Hmm.
sprint through those last questions and didn't get
Yeah.
to really
Right.
spend enough time. And it was
Hmm.
because she had spent, like, if she didn't know the answer, she was flagging it and returning later. But one thing that
Yeah.
I recommend doing is that even if you don't think you know the answer, or you're not confident, at least answer something. Like strike through the ones that you know are definitely wrong because you've
Uh-huh.
already spent like a minute or two reading and looking through this. Maybe it's not coming to you right now. Maybe you can read more questions later that can help
Hmm.
prompt you to answer that one correctly. But at least answer something, because if you run out of time at the end, at least you have an answer in there.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, so I try to do that a lot. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think the multiple selection ones are by default just very, very difficult. I love just
Yeah.
like straight multiple choice exams. If
Right. Right.
I'm looking and I see it's multiple choice and multi-select, I'm like, okay, all right,
Uh,
this is gonna be a tough one.
uh-huh.
So yeah, other than like drilling the topics, it's yeah, they're very hard. Like especially if you're talking about the admin and the advanced admin certifications, they're tough.
Yeah.
Like you can have a ton of years of experience and still find it difficult to pass the exam. So definitely don't take it personally. It's meant to be hard. And
Well,
yeah,
now that you said that, I won't take it personally.
it's hard, but just
Yeah, that's tough.
don't Yeah, and most people don't pass it on the first attempt, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you're not competent, and it doesn't mean that you're not good at your job. It just means that in this one situation, you didn't seek pass, but it's okay, and you're going to keep going, and
Mhm.
you're going to keep trying again because you will get there eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, on that note, like I said, it would be great to have you back. I think you have a lot more you can share with us.
Oh, yeah,
But
I'm happy. Happy to.
yeah. Well, again, thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing this with us today. I have my SWOT analysis notes. I'm gonna dig in a bit further after this, but this was really helpful. And thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks anyone who had to rejoin with this rescheduled meeting from the last Salesforce Saturday, but appreciate you all coming in and joining us again. Just wanted to plug, we have a June virtual meeting on June 24th at 12 p.m., 12 to 1:30. So that meeting is posted, and I'll send the email out for some links from today's meeting and some follow-up information. But again, thanks everyone for joining. We're going to wrap up and hope to see you all at our next meeting. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks,
Bye,
Stephanie. Thanks,
guys.
Jabari. Yep.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.